The most hazardous ingredient in the world isn't what you might expect. It's even worse than high fructose corn syrup, sugar, starches, and seed oils. Studies on rats and mice show that this substance is classified as a Group A carcinogen, meaning it's likely to cause cancer in humans. A carcinogen is any substance that leads to cancer. And this ingredient is also a strong neurotoxin, affecting not only the nerves but the brain as well. It also disrupts reproductive systems, which has been confirmed by several international cancer organizations. Even the EPA considers this ingredient a carcinogen. Here's the kicker. You won't see it listed on ingredient labels because it's not an ingredient at all. It's a byproduct created during the processing of certain foods, especially when heat is applied. This harmful byproduct is called acrylamide. It forms when a specific protein combines with sugar under high heat. Here's a fact. About 40% of our food contains acrylamide. This chemical reaction doesn't happen with natural sugars like sugarcane or honey. It only forms when more refined sugars are involved, like glucose, dextrose, or glucose syrup, as well as modified starches like maltodextrin, which quickly break down into sugar due to their heavy processing. These sugars, combined with proteins and modified cornstarch, are found in many processed foods. Keep in mind, when something is heated, it's often done with oil, like when fries are deep fried in fast food restaurants. Not only do we have to deal with the negative effects of seed oils, sugar, and starches, which cause inflammation and damage to our organs, but now we've got this acrylamide problem on top of it all. It's the deadliest of them all, increasing our cancer risk. Here's something really interesting. If you fry foods with saturated fat instead of seed oils, the formation of acrylamide doesn't happen. Back before the 1990s, McDonald's used to fry their fries in tallow, beef fat. And even though there were proteins and starches involved, no acrylamide was created. This is because saturated fats actually help prevent the formation of this harmful byproduct. Now, imagine if all these junk foods were fried in tallow instead of seed oils. Well, that would significantly lower the cancer risk right from the start. If a restaurant only used tallow or even coconut oil for frying, the toxicity would be much lower. Would it be completely harmless? Probably not, but it would definitely be a lot less toxic. Acrylamide is found in a lot of foods: corn chips, potato chips, French fries, baked goods, crackers, cookies, breakfast cereals, the crust of bread, and even roasted coffee. I know you're probably thinking, wait, I drink coffee. Don't worry, there's an easy way to reduce acrylamide in your coffee, and I'll get to that in a second. Now that you know what acrylamide is and how it's formed, let's talk about how to avoid it in your diet, or at least how to counteract it if you accidentally consume it. One thing I already mentioned is using tallow, coconut oil, or butter. These saturated fats are more stable and don't promote the formation of acrylamide. Also, if you stick to natural sugars, like sugar cane or honey, you won't trigger that acrylamide reaction. If you have the choice between baking or cooking something, always opt for more natural sugars. I'm not necessarily suggesting you go overboard with sugars, but if we're trying to reduce the cancer risk from acrylamide, using natural sugars is key. That means avoiding refined sugars like high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, and all those other highly processed sugars. When you're cooking at home, try to slow cook your food, as this reduces the chemical reaction that forms acrylamide. For example, when I slow cook pork, I keep the temperature around 26 degrees Celsius, so it never hits 285 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, which keeps it safer. Another good tip is to focus on whole foods and avoid refined ingredients, as it's these processed foods that are really doing the most harm. The next tip is all about how you pair your food. Now, I'm not recommending that you eat junk food.
But if you happen to indulge, try pairing it with something that can help neutralize the harmful effects. What should you eat alongside? Cruciferous vegetables like kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, arugula, and cabbage contain compounds that help protect against acrylamide. Garlic is also a great option for protection. Broccoli sprouts in particular have properties that can counteract acrylamide. Foods rich in vitamin C like sauerkraut, citrus fruits, lemons, limes, and bell peppers can also help shield your body. Green tea and spirulina are additional ways to protect yourself from acrylamide.
Let's dive into coffee for a moment, because we can actually reduce the acrylamide content in it. Since coffee is roasted, it's subject to the same chemical reactions. One way to lower acrylamide is by choosing organic dark roasted or espresso coffee, which is roasted at much higher temperatures, up to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The key here is that at these high temperatures, acrylamide becomes unstable and breaks down. In contrast, light roasted coffee has up to 10 times more acrylamide than dark roast. Now, let me get a bit more technical and explain what's happening at the chemical level. This is all due to a process called the Maillard reaction. It involves a specific amino acid, asparagine, which is found in foods like corn, wheat, rice, and soy. In refined foods, you're not protected from this. When asparagine combines with refined sugars, like high fructose corn syrup or fructose, then you crank up the heat above 285 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius. That's when the Maillard reaction kicks in. This creates acrylamide as a byproduct, but the problem doesn't stop there. Acrylamide then turns into another harmful substance called glycitamide, which is even more dangerous and is primarily responsible for the cancer risk.
It gets complicated because it's not just about reading food labels. You need to understand that some very harmful substances are created during the processing of food. When you look at ultra-processed food calories, it's shocking how much of the nutrition is stripped away, how dead the food becomes. On top of that, you're adding things that cause serious health issues. Unfortunately, when you look at the diet of a typical teenager, about 67% of their calories come from ultra-processed foods. For adults, it's over 50%. And for toddlers, around 46–47% of their calories are ultra-processed. Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide, and I'm sure you've seen it, people passing away from cancer, especially as they get older. The truth is, one of the major contributors to cancer is acrylamide. People know about smoking and drinking being risk factors, but this potent carcinogen, acrylamide, is another huge threat.
I hope I've given you enough information to help you be more aware of acrylamide and how to avoid it as much as possible. And if you do end up consuming it, now you know how to counteract its effects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.